of the urge to properly negotiate on behalf of the country. So we've done that. So instead of trying to politicize and trivialize the composition of the president's dedication to such an important meeting, let us follow the details. Let us follow the details. That's how much I can say. A two-day technical working section on drug and substance abuse commenced on yesterday, 18 August 2025, at the Ministerial Complex in Monrovia. The section brings together representatives from key government ministries and agencies, civil society organizations, and development partners. The primary objective of the section is to develop clear strategies and guidelines for implementing the President's directive to intensify Liberia's fight against drug and substance abuse. The working session also aims to establish a coordinated national roadmap and expand rehabilitation services with strong community involvement. On January 29, 2024, His Excellency President Bouaka declared drug a national health emergency. In response, he established the multi-sectoral steering committee on drug and substance abuse. The committee is chaired by the Minister of Health, with the Ministry of Justice serving as co-chair. Other members include the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, and the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. The President also expanded the committee to include the United Nations Agency and civil society organizations. The committee mandate is to design and implement a holistic national response to mitigate and ultimately eliminate the use of illicit drugs in Liberia. So, just before this working session was organized, you see that communities across Monrovia have started to take matters in their own hands to carry out citizen arrest and subsequently turn over those involved to the police. We thank the communities that have conducted themselves so far in an orderly manner. We thank the community that have conducted themselves so far in an orderly manner and called on members of other community leadership to work with the joint security to act in similar manner and form. It has to be done in a non-violent manner. Do it in a non-violent manner. We cannot sit as a country to allow this dangerous scourge of drug and substance abuse to destroy the future of the next leaders of our country. We need to act beyond political lines. We need to act beyond religious lines. We need to act to protect the community. And so, while the government is formulating the roadmap, the community is not left out. That's why civil society organizations are included. The communities that have acted so far, they are working closely with the security apparatus, and so far, so good. No incident of violence have been reported. In an effort to strengthen road maintenance and community monitoring in Liberia, National Road Fund has officially turned over a fleet of 28 motorbikes, a pickup truck, along with computers and printing equipment to the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The support is aimed at improving road maintenance and monitoring in local communities. The donation will help launch the community-based organization CBO road monitoring program, which focuses on identifying and fixing problems on community and feeder roads quickly. The program will allow trained community members to report road issues and also perform small repair tasks like clearing drainage system and breaching roadsides. This will help keep roads in good condition and make them safer for everyone. The Ministry of Internal Affairs will lead the effort, working with local leaders and organizations to carry out the work effectively. Beyond just fixing the roads, the project also creates jobs opportunities, especially for young people. Around 1,500 youth will be hired as road monitors, giving them meaningful work while improving infrastructure. The program supports the government goals of involving communities more in development and spreading services fairly across all parts of the country. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications, is pleased to announce the successful completion of Liberia's first ever digital village. Located in Foya District, Lofa County, the digital village is a state-of-the-art facility that will provide green energy, internet connectivity to over 50 homes, including schools, hospitals, clinics, churches, mosques, and other facilities within a 2.5 kilometer radius. The digital village will also offer smart classrooms, education for students, enhancing their learning experience and providing them with the necessary skills to succeed in the digital age. One of the most impressive aspects of the digital village is the ability to provide free solar electricity to over 100 homes within the Foya district. This initiative is not only meant to improve the lives of residents, but also to promote sustainable energy. The digital project was made possible through the sponsorship of Huawei, a leading global provider of information and communication technology solutions. The digital village is expected to be launched soon, and the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications is working to finalize the preparation. The launch will mark a significant milestone in Liberia's journey towards becoming a digitally enabled nation. The achievement is a testament to the Liberian government's commitment to harnessing the power of technology to drive development and improve the lives of citizens. Then lastly, before I invite the Honorable Executive Director to the podium, the government has made a significant move in advancing youth empowerment and development with the official launch of a new national service program aimed at tackling youth unemployment and strengthening youth skills. According to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the soon-to-be rolled-out program will initially deploy 150 young people, each receiving a monthly stipend of $200 for 30 months through a partnership with the United Nations Development Program. The program builds on the government's existing cadet program, which has already absorbed dozens of participants into permanent government roles. The program is also about providing real opportunities for young people. Last year, the cadets were placed into government jobs, showing that skills-based programs are effective for mobilizing private capital, advancing quality infrastructure investment, supporting disasters risk management, resilient infrastructure in Africa, among others. So let me now stop there and invite the Honorable Executive Director of the EPA, Dr. Emmanuel Urey Yarkpawolo, to the podium.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Very extensive and comprehensive information to the public. And I'm glad we are once here in this unique conference hall that is very beautiful and representative of a proper and functioning government and the Ministry of Information. The Environmental Protection Agency, we're here to give some updates to the public. I'm here joined by our media coordinator, Mrs. Dennis Love-Doodle, along with my chief of office staff, and the rest of our media team, they are here. The rest of the staff are busy, continue working. There are many things we can talk about. We can talk about our state of the laboratory that we set up, started functioning now. We can talk about the EPA headquarters as well. We can also talk about the enforcement of the environmental laws across the country and the rest of it. Sorry for that. I go through here. I think I will get my WhatsApp off my computer because otherwise calls started coming in already. Yeah, the calls started coming in already. So just give me a little bit of time here. Let me make sure and get my file back. It interrupted my system that came on the computer. You know, technology works best when you work, but when there's interference sometimes it's difficult. Just bear with me. Let me get back from 5. Yes, we got it right. Got it right. So I'm doing everything over. Simply of that WhatsApp call that came on my computer, but you guys are patient, so let me get my stuff, my note right. Why not, do you have the hard copy? Well, let's deal with the hard copy because otherwise we don't want this to happen again. Yeah, I'll deal with the hard copy. I think it's the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, take the computer off. Let's go with the traditional old school way. Thank you. As I was saying, there are many things we'll talk about, but I think for today's purpose, actually, we'll just go ahead and talk about the carbon policy. So we'll keep it short. We'll keep it in a way that we don't overly stress ourselves in terms of the kind of information we have to share with the public. For today, I'll be speaking about the development of Liberia carbon market policy and climate change law. The government of Liberia wishes to inform the public of major strides undertaken in the development of a national carbon trading policy and complementary climate change law. Around the world, carbon market has become a critical tool in financing climate action, protecting forests, and supporting sustainable development. However, such a market can only operate effectively within a rule-based system that ensures transparency, accountability, and fairness. Liberia is determined to establish such a system. The mandate of the National Climate Change Steering Committee, the National Climate Change Steering Committee, or NCCSC, is headed by the President of Liberia and is the highest decision-making body for climate change activities in the country, including policies on carbon market. At its 24th sitting in July 2024, the National Climate Change Steering Committee mandated the Environmental Protection Agency to lead the development of developing carbon market policy and closely assisted by the Forestry Development Authority when it relates to carbon that is stored in the forest. Since that directive, the EPA, the FDA, and partners have been working tirelessly to develop both the policy framework and the climate change legislation that will govern Liberia's participation in the global carbon market. Partnership with Coalition of Rainforest Nations. To strengthen this process, the government of Liberia signed a letter of agreement with the Coalition of Rainforest Nations. On this partnership, CFRN is providing technical assistance to support the drafting of Liberia carbon market policy, as well as conducting a comprehensive forest inventory to determine Liberia carbon stock. This stock taking is essential as it will establish the baseline of the country's natural capital in terms of carbon storage and set the stage for future participation in the international carbon market. On capacity building, recognizing the importance of this national national expertise, the government, with CFRN support, has been conducting capacity building programs and training for the Carbon Technical Working Group, which comprises technicians from line ministries and agencies as well as civil society organizations. This training aims to equip national stakeholders with the skills to collect and manage carbon data, take stock of our forest carbon. During the last week of August, CFRN will carry out on-the-ground training in Liberia. Trainees will use modeling technologies, including high-resolution aerial photography and advanced modeling tools to estimate Liberia carbon stock. A similar exercise is already on the way for the country mangrove to determine their carbon storage potential. These steps are essential to ensure Liberia has accurate data on its natural carbon assets. Inclusive and participatory policy development. Liberia draft carbon market policy has already gone on a technical review by experts from line ministries and agencies, civil society representatives, and development partners. It has also been presented to the National Climate Change Steering Committee. In addition, the National Climate Change Steering Committee Secretariat, which is situated within the EPA, has carried out public consultation in 7 of Liberia's 15 counties, gathering input from local leaders, county authorities, and community representatives. The rest will be covered very soon. These consultations are central to ensuring that the policy reflects the view and needs of ordinary Liberians, especially those whose livelihood depends directly on forests and natural resources. The upcoming national dialogue. To build on this momentum and ensure full national ownership, the EPA, along with its partners under the auspices of the National Climate Change Steering Committee, will convene a national dialogue on the draft carbon market policy from August 21st to 22nd, 2025, in Ganta, Nima County. This dialogue will bring together county superintendents and development superintendents, ministers and head of government agency, civil society organization and development partners, women and youth leaders, religious leaders and representatives, and other community representatives, as well as media and student groups. The national dialogue is intended to provide a platform for all voices to be heard. Feedback and recommendations gathered will be integrated into the draft carbon market policy, which will then move to a validation stage for formalization pathway to climate change law. Following validation, the next step will be the drafting of a comprehensive climate change law. This law will not only enshrine the carbon market policy, but it will also establish a clear legal framework for climate change governance in Liberia. It will provide the rules, institutions, enforcement mechanism needed to guide climate action, regulate emissions, and ensure that Liberia market benefit ensure that carbon market benefits are shared fairly, particularly for forest-dependent and vulnerable communities. Conclusion: Liberia is committed to building a transparent, accountable, and inclusive carbon market system that safeguards our forests, uplift communities, and position the country as a credible player in the global carbon market financing mechanism. The EPA, the FDA, the National Climate Change Steering Committee, and all partners call on all citizens, civil society, and stakeholders to actively participate in this process. Together, we can ensure that Liberia's natural wealth becomes a source of resilience and prosperity for generations to come. I want to end up at this to say that we can talk about many things, but today we chose to only talk about carbon market because it's extremely important. And I just also want to highlight that our country is going through tremendous transformation. And those of us who are part of it and those who are not part of it. But in the future, history might look at this period as a period of the beginning of the growth of Liberia. What a conference hall we're standing in that is nicely renovated, with this building undergoing serious renovation, or the Liberia Water and Sewer, or right down here, Ministry of Mines and Energy, or the EPA, and many other government buildings. There's a rebirth in terms of giving them fair lift. But also, if you get a look at the July 26th celebration, what happened in this country, and what happened around the world, a new form of hope is innate in the people. And we all, if we continue to work at it, I think our country will be a better place. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
So you listen to the presentation by the Deputy Minister and also by the EPA boss. Please come in the queue and ask your question relative to the subject under discussion. Please introduce yourself. Come in the queue. Please come forward.
My name is Joseph Salif, and I report for ABC Radio. My first question goes to Minister Sano. First of all, let me thank the government of Liberia. The president have appointed the board for the Liberia National Tourism Authority, which is, I believe, is a rebirth of the tourism sector. Mr. Minister, there's this front page Africa publications on the bearer of the Minister of State. We all know he served this country, and as someone at that level, he deserves a state bearer. You care to provide clarity on this. It is true that he will be buried in the United States or he will be brought back here for state burial. And to the EPA boss, you know, usually during the dry season, we see people excavating decks in different parts of our country. And our survey we conducted, most of these excavations during the rainy season, it causes flooding in the communities. I want to know how rigorous is your team when it comes to the enforcement or the enforcement or regulations of the EPA policy? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Mopolu, and I report for Inside Liberia. And I want to say thanks to the director and his team from the EPA. He's a director. So let me ask question. Executive is a senior director. Thank you so much, sir. All right. So the thing is that the presentation was beautiful, but the issue of environmental issue is not just for the elite, it's also for the people in area the Jala Mountain. But the conversation, there was too much terminology that people down there may not understand exactly what you were talking about. So my concern is, I think it's a recommendation, next time the conversation should be for the people so that they will know exactly what we're talking about. But the question is, the last time the meteorology team from the Ministry of Transport, they came, they said that there will be rainfalls in certain part of Liberia that will affect Liberians. The EPA should help in making sure that these people are informed of the forecast. Have you been doing something like that in Bon County and Lofa and all of that? And my last question goes to the government in general. You know, the public debate about the president taking over 22 government officials to Japan has been the conversation. But then in your conversation, it seems to be like we're being romanticized, wherein you say that it shouldn't be trivialized by the people it is intended. But Minister Sano, you were one of those persons who criticized, you know, previous government for taking huge delegates outside of the country. Then, now the people saying the same thing, you're saying that it shouldn't be trivialized. Is it the same trivialization then? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Desmond Nguyen, and I report for Democracy Watch newspaper. Thanks to the executive director, Dr. Yarkpawolo, spoke very, lengthy, detailed as a matter of fact. But there is this investigation that our person has been conducting with a mining company on the Bushel Island, situated between the township of Garglo and the township of New Georgia, precisely Topo Village. And we all know the historicity of Bushel Island is a slum community with emphasis of Dole community and Topo Village. But that same mining company is there mining with the authoritative permit obtained from EPA that they have the right to do same mining to an environment that is already struggling, suffering from flooding and the issue about encroachment. How do the EPA reconcile giving permits to people, to private institutions to operate or to do same mining in slum communities that are already struggling from flooding and that of encroachment? And just a follow up to that, the carbon summit, the carbon dialogue that is coming up, institutionally, have the institution been able to identify some attributing factors to the issue about what we call climate change in Liberia? And recent time you made a statement when you were presenting there in Banga, it's not Banga precisely Bon County, that Liberia holds 40% of the Guinean forest. And there are ways that can benefit us as a country. Do you care to share with the Liberian people what are some of those tangible ways the 40% that Liberia holds of the Guinean forest can benefit to our national economy? And to the government spokesperson, it will always be important that we raise to speak for the voiceless, those who are in Grand Crew that cannot barely speak to you, Minister Sano, will speak other issues. From your beginning statement, you said the president as an individual is not in Japan precisely to to attend the Osaka Expo. But there is a contradiction also from the executive mansion release that the president is in Japan for two particular reasons. One is to attend the Tokyo conference, and the second is to attend the Osaka Expo conference. So you as a government spokesperson, and that coming from the ministry, that coming from the executive mansion, how do the Liberian, reconcile in terms of the balance of information coming from the two government, communications arm? And just a follow to that, in relation to the huge delegation, the president of then, critics argue that the president of then, George Weah, traveled, yes, with many people then, but some of these travels, the Puento brought in the establishment of the Emmanuel Hospital in Bapulu County. Some of these travels with many delegations brought in the establishment of multiple invisible sports parks around Liberia. While it's true, all these were happening, but then this government, these people in power, then opposition, criticized all of those travels, not looking at some of the tangible benefit it had. Should Liberians at this point believe that there is no honest, no space to play in terms of our criticism? Let me go back. Let me rephrase the question. Let me rephrase the question.
When the question becomes so wordy, it takes away the truth of it.
So Minister, let me rephrase the question. Previous government, former president, we had traveled plenty of people, and plenty of people in travel in government. All the Liberians saying these people they travel plenty though, but they brought some other development like invisible sports park, like the Bapulu Hospital. Now the government that was empowered then, or sorry, the government that was not empowered, the opposition, they criticized. They the president was travel plenty of people. That's why the president traveled with the plenty of people brought in the developments. So now that this government, now you people are in power, and the president too is doing just simultaneously. How do the Liberians take your criticism? Was it then insincere?
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Kura Thompson, and I report for the Today Independent New Dawn newspaper. Well, I have just a question, and it goes to you, Dr. Yarkpawolo. Just a days ago, I think I contacted you through your WhatsApp concerning a detailed investigation involving the devastating pollutions endangering the life of residents in 4 communities in Fiama. And sadly, the LWSC has been one of the key actors behind it. They have been collecting money and allowing commercial sewage truck drivers to dispose waste into the open. And this practice is affecting those who live in the surroundings. I shared the reports with you and few officials of government, but since then, there have been a serious silence. No one is speaking in that direction. Are there any plans to visit that community and see the situation that people are faced with? And if yes, what if LWSC is in violation of the environmental protection law? Are there penalties for that? Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Deputy Minister Sano. My name is Christopher Batsman, and I report for Independent TV Liberia. Permit me to read in a jiffy the rule number 4 of the revised Government of Liberia Travel Ordinance Law. For a specific trip like high-level meetings such as the United Nations General Assembly, the Africa-China Summit, Korea-Africa Summit, and Commission on the Status of Women Conference, maximum amount of delegates shall not exceed 7. My question is, how can we reconcile this particular law along with the dedication of the President of Tokyo? Thank you.
My name is Fancy and Sajay, and I report for Global Online TV. I have a question for Mr. Yarkpawolo. This time doing your Save Forest Key to Fighting Climate Change campaign in Banka County, and you said that we are blessed with more than 40% of the Upper Guinean forest. And he asked a question that I want to ask you back because that question was not answered. He said that how can we manage these new resources from how we manage ours. Gold, diamond, iron ore, and now, how can we do this at this time? Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Larry S. Tepe, and I report for Banana FM. My first question goes to the Executive Director. Thank you for the explanation. You talk about the summit or the dialogue that is to be here in Kanta or in Limba County. And I didn't hear you talking about some like the miners who are also there, mining. I didn't hear you talking about being part of the dialogue. Why did you decide to lead them out? And then to Minister Sino, you were talking about the issue of citizens' involvement in tackling drugs in the country. My concern is some of these citizens, they don't have the equipment, they don't even equip to attack the drugs dealer, even the drugs users. Is the government planning to also aid them with some officers? If yes, what does the government expect from their engagement? Thank you.
My name is Jackson H. Siafa. Yeah, so my first question goes to the Deputy Minister. Let's go first to the trip that the President has made to Asian countries, Japan. So my question here is, for the sake of transparency, can you tell the public the number of people that travel along with the President? And the second one is, how much it costs? What is the cost involved? Can you tell the public? My name is Jackson H. Siapa. Jackson. So, Sam TV. Yeah. So, can you tell the public how much was involved, or how much involved in the travel, the process that's involved, how much the government is paying for them to the EPA bus? So my question is about the issue of carbon monoxide. People been complaining all along. Sometimes you see vehicles just getting off the road, smoking all around, all over. So is there any plan to put this issue under control, because it is affecting the citizens? People just behave disorderly. Yeah, thank you.
My name is James, and I report for Kia Radio. This is just a follow-up question to what the minister said during his statement. I just want you to please clarify whether you said that this trip is being sponsored by the Japanese government, the government trip to.
What's your name?
My name is James, and I say I report for Kia Radio.
Full name?
James T. Wakwe, I report for Kia Radio.
Yeah, so I'm Samuel Johnson, I report for Tiara Online Television. I have a question for Minister Sando. I overheard you talking about the LBS media complex and even attaching it to President Bouakar's recent trip to China. So during the last administration, we saw that project was being negotiated and fundings were already available for said projects. I'm Samuel Johnson. For said projects, so I wanted you to provide more clarification as to whether that project is being implemented as of the trip made by President Bouakar to China, or is a project that was being fully initiated by the last regime. Thank you.
I'm Urey, Empire report for DNS Liberia. My question goes to David and Mr. Sando. Given on the current, I'm Urey, Empire report for DNS Liberia. Given the current economic condition of the country, how can the government justify the size and the cost of the travel of the president and some officials of the Liberian government?
Anthony, there's another meeting ongoing. So I'll take shot as my part of questions, and then the minister will come later. Thank you. I will respond to the questions as they came in. The excavation of land during the dry season and what we're doing about it. Our inspectors are in the field and we are arresting trucks that are involved in this practice. One of the areas they were quite involved with was the University of Liberia Fender campus land. They were excavating that land heavily. We done some intervention there and follow up with that. Recently, we impounded and arrested 2 different trucks in the Carwell community and parked those at the police station. So our inspectors are working to put the situation under control. We want to take this time to inform the public not to do that. Do not excavate land. Done. If you are to do, you require an environmental permit that will allow you to do that. In certain areas, certain development ongoing, it need to be excavated. You need environmental permit to allow you to excavate the land. We are asking the truck drivers and their union, especially, to advise their members to stop doing this. Because when we impound a truck, it's difficult for us to release it. You are in violation. And we know that, things are a little bit sometimes difficult. You don't want your truck to be parked while you're not running. So we get cautioning the public and the truck drivers to stop hauling dirt and filling the swamp. The carbon market, we explained it in standard English. And the gentleman said it was too hard. A lot of people will not understand it. Well, we can go a little bit lower. It's a complicated phenomenon. That's the reason why we are having the public consultations in the counties. That's one of the reasons why we're having the national dialogue to explain to people much more in the simplest term. I can summarize it in a minute. The earth is getting warm. It's called global warming. Literally, the earth is getting warm. What is causing the warming? There is a blanket of air that protects the earth from the sun. It filters the sun from hitting the earth too high. But that blanket of air is melting away. We're destroying it. Why are we destroying it? Especially the developed countries that are using things like coal, heavy fuel oil, clearing all the land and the rest of it. There's an air from it called carbon that go inside. It's called greenhouse gas. And as it melts this blanket of air, the sun is hitting the earth very, very hard. Because of that, we see patterns of rainfall changing. Sometimes during the rainy season, the sun is shining. Sometimes during the dry season, the rain is falling. In other countries, sometimes a year or two, they have not experienced any rainfall. It's impacting our agriculture. Our mothers on the farm, they don't know when to plant the rice anymore. Because way back, they used to have a constant season. The season is changing. One other thing this thing is doing also is that the ice is melting. Those who study high school geography, the earth is like a ball. The North Pole and the South Pole are block of ice. When the heat from the sun hit the ice, it's melting the ice. When ice melts, it becomes water. And so the volume of the ocean is increasing. And so West Point is threatening, Buchanan is threatening, Sano is threatening. All our coastal cities are threatened by the erosion. How do we solve this problem? One way to solve the problem, keep your forest standing. Why? The forest has the ability to take in the harmful gases we put it in the air. The forest can capture it and store it in them and send it under the ground. So the forest is cleaning the air that we are polluting and make it dirty. So we ask our people now to come from forests, where that money should go, in the government pocket, in the people pocket. How should the government and the traditional people share the money who own carbon? So this is the kind of law or core policy the EPA been working on, along with FDA, Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, all of our partners, what are UNDP, MFGF, many institutions been helping the EPA to do this work. And that's the one we're going to be having our policy dialogue now in Kanta. Okay? So at least our people can get a little bit sense of it. So we're asking our people then to not cut the forest, especially don't cut the mangroves. The mangrove has the ability to take the bad air more than 10 times than even the traditional forest. So we're asking them not to cut the forest down. Somebody asked a question on forecast on the CIS project. On the weather. That's going to be happening very soon. The EPA is implementing one project to be able to renovate all the weather stations and get new one in the country. And when that project is done, we'll be able to predict the weather to inform the farmers faster. So work is going on in that area. The mining situation in Topo Village, thank you for bringing this up. You see, claim my attention to it, and thank you. And we're asking the public, like the gentleman did, a lot of people are claiming my attention to these things because our inspectors are not able to be everywhere. I will follow up. Normally, the messages come to me, the inspector have a chat room and claim their attention to it. I say, this is an issue here, please look into it, right? But it come in numbers. So we'll look into it and we'll follow up with some update. But normally they are proactive to go there and make some intervention in those areas. But also, if they are money, like you talk about, they have an EPA permit, and the money they have an EPA permit, we can look into that. But EPA permit follow a set of criteria. If somebody want to mine, they apply for a permit, we subject them what we call environmental impact assessment. So that means they will hire a third party, they will conduct study in that area, the land bed in that area, all kinds of work is done, and all the boxes have to be corrected before we can allow that. So there's a process. So if they have the EPA permit, they're more likely they not went through this process. However, those permits, they have conditions. Not because you get a permit, you can do anything. So part of our responsibility is to ensure that those conditions are met. And so the particular case you have highlighted to us, we'll follow it. It ties into the question of the 40% forest and what Liberians tend to benefit is what we're talking about. If we can manage the forest, now they have something they call natural capital. Natural capital basically is what we get described, the carbon that's one, the biodiversity, the animals that are there, that are not found in any part of the world, they are in Liberia. Those are the kind of property the country has. So if we manage this properly, especially when we get the policy done, when we open the country for carbon market, I think we'll be able to get some cash benefit and we'll be able to help the country. Pollution in the Fiamma area, yes, you sent me a series of text messages on that situation. Just that I explained also, I will follow up with our inspectorate team to look into what is happening in Fiamma with the pollution. A follow-up question, if at all somebody is guilty, any kind of government entity, what a government entity, what a private entity, the law does not give exception. So we apply the law to everyone and every institution as the law mandates. So we don't pick and choose on that one. I think I have already talked about the carbon one. How can we manage our carbon to not repeat what in the mineral sector? Oh yes, that's why we're developing the policy. There are a lot of people running, want to invest 12 million, 10 million, 25 million. On what basis you want to do the investment? There has to be a clear policy as to how this thing works. If money is generated from there, how that money should go and what should be done with it. Of course, in the mineral sector, we see that there have been a lot of rip-up in terms of the country, a lot of minerals leaving the country with not much of a benefit. And we don't want that to happen if carbon market is going to be something that the country can benefit from. We start with a clear policy and a law that will be enforceable. And that's what we're working on that. Minus part of the national dialogue, I mean, we're inviting the private sector. We're inviting the leaders of the private sector. So there could be miners, there could be other people, but the private sector are going to form part of the dialogue. Okay? So I think that's the pollution from cars. We're working on the policy now. We have an air quality kind of guideline, but we are now working on the pollution from vehicle in terms of that. The EPA clearly has mandate in this area. So that's something. So we started to enforce the environmental laws. We see that there are a lot of regulations. Law is broad. You have to zoom in terms of that. Like the one that will be evoking very, very soon, the noise pollution. The country is noisy. You know that, right? Our country is noisy. And for that reason, sometimes we inadvertently speak loud. Because we used to kind of noise. What are in the market? Somebody get playing loudspeaker almost non-stop. Or what are the religious churches non-stop in terms of crusade? Every night is tarry and students can study around the areas. We are coming with that. And we're going to enforce it. You can't get me causing noise. Okay? Let me tell you something. People who want to listen to the word of God to come into the church, are you going to put a speaker outside for the whole people to hear it and force the message on them? It's unacceptable. So that one, very soon the team is working on it. We'll start with a rigorous public awareness first. Sometime we evoke the law, and then the noise will stop. We can't get it everywhere so noisy. So we already have a policy guideline on that, just to evoke it. And we are now going to be working with you as the media to help us elevate our voices, to tell these people, to inform them this is wrong. You don't go ahead just doing that. So I think, again, there are many things we can talk about. Let me not take out of your time. Let me give the minister a chance. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Desmond, you still got some more questions? So Joseph Salif. There has to be a clear dichotomy between what a family of a public official wants and what the government wants. When a public official is married, he has family, and in an event of the person's death, that family decides where he or she will be laid to rest, not the government. All the government can do is to work with the family to help them give that person a befitting burial. In the case of the former minister, the family prefer him to be buried in the United States where he died. The family is working closely with the government to have that done. The way you ask a question, it will seem whether there was a battle between the family and the government. There's no battle. But you just have to give it to them. They are the family. He's a statesman, yes, but he's a family man first. So they will decide where he will be buried. In the instant case, he said, because he died in the United States, they want him to be buried there. Opolu, I would rather not try to join the former president into this unnecessary comparison. Because everything I see you're doing, the press people, is to draw a parallel between the government of His Excellency President Bouaka and the former administration. By doing so, you're not showing the former president respect. Because when you open that Bendora box and I start to highlight his SSAs, and they say, oh, the people at the Ministry of Information can take all the time talking to the former president. But between you and say, you know the facts. Unlike the former president who left this country for 58 days to go and watch the World Cup, and then he went to play with his pet in Florida, came back here with his hands swinging. President Bouaka has never done anything that resembles that. So why do we, this urge, this knock about joining the comparison? Oh, you're criticizing President Weah. The things that President Weah did to our country, the day President Bouaka attempts to do them, I will never defend him. So there's no parallel. Let us stop manufacturing this false sense of similarity. Oh, they criticize him. Oh, see, yes, we criticize him. He left the country for 58 days. Went to Qatar. Saw the opening game in the World Cup. Went to Florida. Came back. Watched the final. You're coming back here. By that time, the price of gasoline has escalated. Because red price was going up when our president was watching World Cup. Today you have a situation where the government, since coming to power, has managed the economic situation. No gas shortage, no rest crisis. All of these commodities are available and the prices are declining. You can bear testament to that. The president is going out there. Some of the results that President Bouaka has brought back from his foreign travel. I hear people try to say, oh, and President Weah won the White World Cup and he brought Emory Hospital. It is not true. He came from that World Cup, went to Qatar to get him a jersey with his number and he signed on it. He came back here with his hands swinging. When President Bouaka went to China to attend FOCA, and I'm going to tie in with a question I was asked by one of your colleagues who said, oh, you heard somewhere that the LBX new broadcast complex was negotiated by the former government. Let me tell you something. Maybe you are lost inside of the issues or the facts. But the People's Republic of China shut her doors on Liberia. You know what happened? Because of the diplomatic blunder of the former administration. They shut down everything. They shut down everything. It took President Bouaka to go to China and re-establish that diplomatic confidence with the people. And when he came back, all the doors were open. Some of your colleagues, they left for here, they went to China, they came back. I'm told the EBs will be here on Thursday, so we can appreciate them. They are here? Some of them are here. The Chinese are now helping us at all levels. Ask yourself why that $5 million complex that was negotiated during the days of President Salif was put on hold. Ask yourself why the overpass that's supposed to be built from the Boulevard to the ministerial complex, negotiated during the era of President Salif, why was it put on hold? Because the very government you try to compare this government to created diplomatic mess. I led the Chinese to say, we can't trust the people. We can't trust them. They now watch off our trust. You now have a government that came here, and in just under 2 years, these things that were put on hold, projects that were stored, are back on track. And all you do is to try to create a false sense of comparison. That is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. We will now walk the path of the former government. We don't walk the path. The two presidents are not the same. So let us stop it. Let us stop it. The former president deserves to be where he is. So now you see him playing football in Ghana. That's where he want to be. Let him be there in peace. Every time we come to our press conference, you call his name, and then he thinks that we discuss him. We're so concerned about him. Nobody cares about him. Nobody cares about him. The only thing I would not agree with you is when you try to create that false sense of similarity between one president who played football from Monday to Sunday and one president who leaves the mansion at 8 o'clock in the night, is back there 8 o'clock in the morning. Why you do that? You can see the seriousness? Let us stop it. Sometimes when we're presenting at a press conference, you pay attention. There are two statements I will issue. The mansion issue a statement, foreign ministry issue a statement. The foreign ministry said the president is going to attend the expo, right? And I told you, I said the president will not attend the expo. And you come out and say, why is the president in Japan? The president is in Japan to attend the Tokyo International Conference on African Development. At the close of that conference, on the 22nd or the 23rd, the president will return to the country. He's not going to Osaka. Does it mean that other people on the president delegation will not go to Osaka? Of course, I told you that if not for the unfortunate passing of the Minister of Information sister, he will also be in Osaka. The Minister of Foreign Affairs will be in Osaka. The Minister of Commerce and Industry will be in Osaka. The President's Special Envoy on Tourism will be in Osaka. Because that is where they are going to showcase Liberia tourism potential. I thought I was very clear on that. So, and that's what I said, the delegation, the government used one stone to kill two birds. Some of the people who are with the president in Tokyo currently, at the close of that Tokyo conference, they'll be moving into Osaka for the summit. And that's where I said that the government of Japan provided support for the presence of the Liberian delegation at the Expo 2025. So Desmond, I think I'd address the latter part of your concern about the two presidents' travel. One has been beneficiary. One was very less effective. It brought nothing to the country, and I don't wish to go further on that. Somebody talk about Bestman asked about the travel ordinances. So the revised travel ordinances that you try to quote, it is limited to cabinet ministers, right? When the president is on a delegation, there's an exception to that ordinance. So for example, if the minister of Information, the Minister of Finance is heading the country's delegation to a particular conference, the number of persons cannot exceed 7, right? They cannot be there for more than a particular number of days. That's what the ordinance says, but it does not apply in a case where the president is heading that delegation. Larry, citizens are not vulnerable. And citizens are not engaging drug dealers directly or users directly. Citizens are aiding the fight against illegal drugs and other dangerous substances that are destroying the future of the young people. If you are a community leader, if you are a parent in the community, and you see one drug lord in your community using a house as a ghetto, and you don't do anything to help the government expose that person, then you are an accomplice. Which is why few communities around Monrovia are now gearing up, working with the police, the joint security, the DEA, to identify these criminal hideouts, move in there, conduct citizen arrest, and turn the people over to the police people. I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. The government, the intervention the government will make is not to give the citizen arms. is to encourage the citizen to work with the security apparatus. Of course, citizen arrest is something that is encouraged on our jurisprudence. So there's nothing wrong with the citizen coming together in the community to say, your activities here endangers our community and the young people who don't want to here will call the police before you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So, again, the marshal announced the composition of the president's trip, 23 persons. Jackson said, I should justify the composition of the president's trip. I read you an itinerary that gave every member of that delegation a specific role. When there are economic, financial issues that have been discussed, you can carry the Minister of Information there, that the Minister of Finance. When there are investment issues that will be discussed at a particular meeting, and maybe you should try to get the agenda for the entire conference. Then you will know what we're talking about here. So that's the size of the delegation of the president. On the cost, I cannot put a cap on the cost. Why? Because the Ministry of State has not furnished the Ministry of Information with that information yet. Also, you have to understand, there are other ministers on the trip whose travel cost is being covered by their respective entities, right? For example, if the Minister of Finance on a trip, the Ministry of State is not buying his ticket. The Ministry of Finance will buy his ticket directly. So if you want to ask me for the cost, then I have to coordinate with all of these entities to say, oh, let's put it together to know what the travel cost is. When that can be done, I don't want to provide you inadequate information on the travel cost of the president's delegation. So again, James asked whether the trip was fully sponsored by the Japanese government. No. Part the sponsor. Those who are going to the Osaka 2025 export, they are being sponsored by the government of Japan. Those who are with the president at the TICA conference, that cost is being covered by the Liberian government. So I did speak to the issue of the LBS complex. You need to ask yourself why it was not completed on the 6 years under the former administration. That's because of the diplomatic mess they created. The Chinese, they didn't feel comfortable with them, and they put a hold on all of the projects in Liberia. It is now that a responsible government came here, engaged them, and they reopened their doors, and these projects are ongoing. We take pride in the fact that we were able to convince the Chinese to open the doors and to continue to do what they do for us, to help us, because communication is a challenge in the country. If the state broadcaster is equipped in a way that I can stand here and speak to the citizens in the last part of Maryland County, then we know we are improving, because communication in this ancient time is very important. Very important. I know social media is predominantly the way information is disseminated now, but traditional media still plays a role. There are people who don't have social media pages, who don't have internet, they listen to ERBC. So if ERBC is equipped, that a spark can get to the last man across the country, it's a good thing that we should celebrate as a country. How can the size of the president's delegation be justified in the face of economic hardship? So let me answer the question in reverse. So because there's unemployment in Liberia, everybody sit here. The government should not go out to look for investment opportunity. How do we overcome unemployment? How do we overcome the issue